show you what happens when you have two animations going at the same time and they're on the same layer. And that will be problematic, especially if you have one that's a shape tween and you have one that's a motion tween. That's kind of good. But even if they are, even if it isn't a motion tween. So start with a brand new file and go ahead and use the oval tool and this red ball. This is always works nicely for. And I'll go ahead and switch this and make it a symbol. So I'll modify, convert the symbol, and make it a graphic symbol, and we'll call it red ball. And I want it to go from point A to point B. We use our 1 second rule. So I'll go ahead and insert timeline, keyframe. Right? Then I take this one and I move it down at this point in time. So frame 1, it's over here. Frame 20, it's here. Then I need the motion tween to generate all the in-betweens. So I can click in between or select the mode. And then in between, when you're down here, you select the motion. And it works really nicely. Okay. Now I decide, okay, I want something else going on down here. So let me create another object here. Let's go ahead and make this a square. So we'll use a rectangle. Let's pick a different color here. Green. And I'll convert this to a symbol too. So modify. And we can tell already that there's a problem. Convert the symbol. Call it green square. Everybody see the problem? I haven't even animated it.
The dot?
Yep. It doesn't like anything else on that layer. As soon as I delete this, it likes it. So that lets you know right there. That's a very, before I got started doing anything, it let me know that there was a problem. So if I choose to now, at this point in time, frame 21, let this ball disappear and animate something else, it's a different place in time, so it doesn't matter. But if you're to take place during the same duration between frame 1 and 20, that's different. So if I want to animate the square, then I need to add another layer. And you might want to just name them. This is red ball, anim, and then we'll make this one green square anim. And then it's also good practice too, that when you're done using a layer, just lock it. So you don't accidentally put something on it. Like, don't accidentally move it, don't accidentally put something on it, don't accidentally delete something from it. And it does get tedious, but believe me, when you've been working on a large project like that last one that I showed you, the one that I've been working on for a while, it just, believe me, it made my life so much easier when I would, especially during middle and end stages. Just I had all of these layers, and if I knew that I had to make a change to one, I'd lock them all, unlock just that one, make the little change, lock it, and if I had to do something to another layer, unlock that. So you have to move very slowly, methodically, otherwise you'll make a change, and with all those layers, you're not going to know what happened. It would be very difficult to troubleshoot, find out what's going on. And that's especially when you get into ActionScript and other things of that nature. Everything will seem to work really beautifully for a while, and then you'll make a change. And if you make too many changes without testing, you'll discover that, oh, something went wrong, it's not working. And then you'll want to scratch your head. And you'll have to troubleshoot, well, at what point in time did I make a change that caused it to fail? So my rule of thumb is that every time you make a significant change, relatively significant change, test it. Does it work? Great. And then you do that just by going to Control, Test Movie, or the Apple key return, and that publishes it. And then you'll be able to see, does it work, does it work, does it work? And then at some point, especially when you're adding action script, if it doesn't work, then you just stop at that point and you know, okay, something I did here needs to be remedied, and it's easier to troubleshoot. But I know for really large projects, especially when you have multiple, number of people working on them, that's very hard to do. And that's an art in itself to be able to troubleshoot, go back and figure out why is something not working.
Could you show us in CS4 how the motion tweak
I
works?
would, but I don't have it on. But that, one of the things that they changed, because now they use panels, the properties panel is over here now, it's not down here. And they've eliminated this tween feature here, it's gone. And what they've done instead of adding, instead of adding a keyframe at the end, all they have you do is to control click or right click on the end. And then that brings up a little fly out window. And it asks, do you want to apply a tweak? And you say yes. And then instead of seeing a keyframe here, you see there's some other little icon that they've used that indicates that now you have a tween going on. And then you just move that frame and then edit it. And then you have under the sub panel, under the properties that would be over here to the right, that will allow you to change all sorts of features with regard to that. You can change, just as I've changed the size, position, alpha, there's a whole bunch of graphs that let you change that stuff on the fly, and very nicely. So there are some nice features. Where it does become problematic, though, is that they've tried to refine, and this is where I wanted to go today to talk about motion paths. And in CS3, they have this little, or motion guides, as they call them. They have this little feature right here, right next to the new layer. And a motion guide is a separate, when you want to animate something that goes in a direction other than a straight line, I just wanted to follow any kind of curly path or a circle or something, you need a guide for that symbol to follow. Well, what they did is they eliminated this in CS4, because as soon as you apply a motion tween now, they automatically have created a guide or a path for you. And it's a vector graphic, and you can go in and edit it. You can make it a nice curve or leave it a straight line, but then that doesn't address if you want it to go in a circle or you want it to go follow some other kind of path. So they do let you go back and use this old way, but it's awkward. They've kind of eliminated it. I know I'm talking gibberish because I don't have things to show you. But let me show you the old way, and even if you have CS4 at home, to do this, you can still do it the old way. You just have to, when you right click, it'll say, I don't know what it says, I forget. It says, do you want to do it the old way? No, it's something like that. It'll say the older version. And they're really, this I think you have more control, to be quite honest. Let me go ahead and I'm going to get rid of this gray layer. I'm going to remove the motion tween. And I just have a beginning and an end keyframe. Okay. Now to use motion guides, and this would be true in CS4 too, if you want to have, I assume so, since they really have moved in this direction. It's best if you use well, you would have to. You have to use a symbol in order to do this. Okay? You have to have symbols in order to have it follow a guide. Now to do that, the guide has to be on its own layer. So I'll go ahead and click this button. And notice what it did. Let me undo that. Watch carefully. Let me move this down a little bit. I already have, and you can do this in any order you want. I could have made and then brought out the ball second. But I already have the ball here in the first keyframe and the last keyframe. So the order that you create this isn't important. But as soon as I add a motion guide layer, watch what happens to this highlighted layer. Notice, see how it's inset underneath this guide? That means that this will be affected by this guide. So now I'll go ahead and now that the red ball is locked, I can click on the guide layer and I can proceed to make a guide. You can use whatever drawing tool you want to make a guide. You can use the pencil, you can use the pen tool to make a very precise guide, and I'll show you other ways of using paths to become a guide. So I'll just start with a pencil tool. And I don't want it in pencil mode, I want it to be straightened. So it's sort of a nice, smooth, it'll be kind of a clunky curve, but you'll get the idea. So if it comes off a stage here, and I curve it around, and I'm just going to make kind of a loop-de-loop. Okay? So let me go ahead and select this. I was hoping it would be a little bit smoother. Let me curve it. Let me go back here. I'm going to try this again. Instead of using it straighten, I'm going to use it curve. So it's sort of a nice smooth curve. But even though I'm drawing with my right hand and I'm left-handed, I use the mouse with my right hand. That's a little better. That'll be okay. So I want the ball to come on stage, to follow this loop, and then to go off stage. So this is my motion path. It's clearly not going in a straight line. Okay. So because the path for this guide remains constant and does not move, we have an initial keyframe, and it has to be on stage for the same duration as time that the ball is going to move. Since it's 20 frames, it has to be 20 frames. But you only need an initial keyframe, and that's it. So I'll go ahead and unlock it. You don't need that. Now what I can do, I'll unlock this guy. What you do is you use the move tool. And at the first keyframe, I click and I drag by this little crosshair in the middle, and you'll feel it pop into place. Not literally feel, but you'll see it snap. Now it's a part of that guide, then we go to the end, and we do the same thing. We click here, and you'll feel it snap into place. Now I go ahead and I will apply the tween. And notice it's already following the guide. Now if you wish, remember you can also select a keyframe. Remember how we can go ahead and we can ease in and ease out. So pick up speeds, slow down speed. Let's go ahead and test it and see what we get. Let's test movie. Sometimes it doesn't work. See how it slows down. If I want to extend the duration of this, because if I feel it's all happening too quickly, click and drag so that I highlight both of these, and then just drag it here so that now it'll take twice as long. So that's how you get objects to follow paths. Now I can have multiple objects follow this same path, but if I do so, they have to be on a separate layer. They still have to be underneath this guide layer, but they have to be on a separate layer. So what if I wanted the green box to follow this as well? Same path. I would go ahead and apply a new layer, and notice it's directly above red still inset within here. If I didn't want this to follow the guide, I would right click and then go to properties, or it's just as easy sometimes to double click. And notice how it says it's guided? Well, I would make it normal. If I click normal and click OK, well, see, that took both of them out. That's not what I wanted to do. So this one would have to be beneath that in order to do that. So let me double click again. I want this to be guided. This one now, because it's not inset, is not guided. If I double click on the icon and I select and make it guided, it will also be guided by this guide. So now I can take, in the same principle, I'll go ahead and bring this out. And I'll bring it out over here. And click it and have it snap into place. And then we'll come down here. And actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have it start a little bit later. I'll have this start maybe frame 10. Okay? So the red ball already starts, and now this one begins. But they follow the same pattern. And if I want, I can have them end up at the same time, or I could have them, this one end up sooner, or all sorts of things. So I'll go ahead and do the same thing. I'll insert timeline keyframe. So I have a copy. Remember, by inserting keyframes, all it does is it go back in the timeline and copies this one. Now I can take this one and bring it here. Sure that snaps. Apply the motion tween. And this one follows it too. So they can both follow the same pattern. Again, I can change the duration. I mean, right now they're ending up at the same place at the same time. But if you wish one to be at a point sooner or later, you just simply move it back or forth on the timeline. Okay? Now, this is if you want it to follow kind of a free-form path. But what if we were doing something that was a little bit more orderly, that we were going to construct an animation or an animated, or Flash animated version of what we would see as if we constructed our solar system. And so you would want, the planets to follow an elliptical path, wouldn't you? So to use the pencil tool wouldn't work very well. So instead, let's go ahead and I'm going to go File New, just create a brand new file. And I want to see the old library because I want to use the red ball again. I'll go ahead and I'll start this time by adding a guide layer. And because I want to use ellipse, I'll just use the oval tool. But I don't want to fill. That doesn't help me at all. And I will go ahead and under pencil, I'm going to go ahead and use a nice flat line. And I'll make a nice ellipse like so. Because I want it to follow this path. And this is legitimate. As long as it's a simple path, it will follow it. But I have a slight problem. And we'll see this in a minute. I'm going to go ahead down to frame 40. And I will insert timeline frame. And on the bottom one, I need to, and here, let's pull out my red ball. And I'll pop it in place. And I decide, you know what, I want it to start right here. And I want it to end up over here, don't I? So then if I insert down here, timeline, keyframe, and then at this point in time, I move it, and I say, okay, I want it to go from here. I'm going to find out, go all the way around, and then end up here. Correct? I think, well, it's going to go all the way around. So I'll go ahead and I apply the tween. And apply a motion tween. But it doesn't. It takes the shortest distance. That's not what I wanted. So how does it know to go all the way around? what you need to do, and it's very simple, is that it can't be a closed path. It needs to be an open path, because open paths have a start and an end point. And if you've worked with Illustrator, you would realize that all paths, if they're open paths, have start points and end points. Wherever you start the path is where it starts, and wherever it ends. So now what I can do is I'll select the guide layer. I'll go ahead and lock my animation. That's fine. Now I'm going to use the eraser tool, and I want to use just a tiny, tiny little let's close this for a minute. Zoom in a little bit. So right at the top here, I just want to make a little break, like so. See what I did? I just erased just a teeny tiny part of that line. And now when I scrub across, notice to go from beginning to end. Now, the only thing left that you need to do, because, and this is the part that will take a little time, is to adjust the first keyframe and the last keyframe so that when it does begin to loop here, that you don't see a little blip, and you will. If they overlap too much, you'll see it kind of pause. If there's too much of a space between, you'll see it jump. So you don't want them to perfectly end, at the end of each of these points. Meaning I don't want to select somewhere like this. Select the ball here and move this right to the end, because it will overlap too much if I do that here and then I click here and I overlap this too much here. They're too close to one another. But the best thing to do is to just to zoom back out and hit Command Return and watch it pause. Actually, it doesn't look half bad. So that's how you get it to follow a more precise kind of path. And this is what CS4, as far as I know, does not address. The only way that you can do it this way is to use the old version here in CS3 to do this. Now remember, this animation can be also put inside the symbol. And I was hoping by today, that I've been here Tuesday, to introduce movie clips. Because movie clips are another type of symbol, and they're different from graphic symbols in several ways. But there's one fundamental way, is that their timeline is independent of the main timeline. So they only need to be on the stage for one frame. They don't need to be. If I had all of this animation, remember, inside graphic symbol, on my main timeline, I would need a movie of at least 40 frames in order for it to play. That's not true with movie clips. Movie clips I would only need on the main timeline one keyframe or one frame, and that's it. Because their timeline is independent of the main timeline. So we'll get to that on next Tuesday. Yeah.
Can we import like movie clips or this regular Flash file into PowerPoint?
My guess would be no. What do you want to do?
Or just say that this, can I just, just...
What you can do, though, I mean, there's always a workaround. Remember, we could go back to, is PowerPoint, I'm sure, will allow you to import Wave or QuickTime.
QuickTime.
So when we go to File, we go to our Publish settings. Okay, notice that we can export as a QuickTime. Okay, so if you exported it as a QuickTime, and then you would have to do one more translation if you're on PC. You would have to take a QuickTime, and you would probably have to save that as a WAV file so that it would be compatible for Windows, and then it would be doable.
So this one can be like put on the slide one in the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
But once this one is done, they follow back to the text of the PowerPoint to slides two.
I'm pretty sure. There's a workaround. It could be, I think it can be done.
The question I asked you earlier about bringing things onto the stage and then leaving them, and then other things coming on. And then
Right. So, for example, let's say I wanted this just to be going and going and going and going. I just wanted this to play. And then I wanted something else going on at the same time while it's just playing. The best thing to do would be to put this inside a movie clip.
But I'm saying, what if you don't want it to go? Like, what if you wanted to come across the stage, do its thing, and then stop and stay there?
Oh, okay.
Other things.
Then let's go back to that file. Okay, so these go across.
Right, so this goes across and then
And
it
that
stays,
stays right
it
there.
doesn't repeat. Will you put
Oh,
something
then
else?
that's easy, okay? Does everybody understand the question? We have animated the square in the sphere. They followed the loop, they've gone across the stage, and then they just stay put. They just stay right there, and now something else moves. Okay, so what we do now is that we'll add a new layer for our next, whatever we're gonna do next. Actually, see, this got shoved in here, and I don't want that. I want this to be above. So I just dragged it above. So what if I want to introduce something else? Let me import a picture that I want to bring on stage.
Perfect.
Well, from frame 1 to 40, it doesn't exist, that picture. So at frame 41, I should probably, or frame 40, I should insert another blank keyframe, because this is going to be, I'll introduce a picture that will fade on to the screen. So this will be my picture. And I need to import that picture into my library. So I think I already have my cluttered stage here, probably a rubber ducky or something that I can bring on. Okay. So go to File, and actually I'll go ahead and I want to bring it on stage right here at frame 41. So that these are done at frame 40, frame 41 I want to introduce the new feature. So I'll probably make a copy of this blank keyframe just for a second. So this is my placeholder here. Notice that everything temporarily disappears. Don't worry about that. So I'm focusing now. We lock down all these other layers because I'm done with them for the time being. So they did their thing from frame 1 to 40. Now frame 41, I'm introducing something new. So I'll go to File, Import, let's go ahead and import the stage. That'll be fine. Here's the duck payment. And I'll go ahead and import it. Okay, so I want this to fade in. Remember, I want this to fade in at this point. So in order for it to fade in, what do I have to do? I have to convert it to a symbol, don't I? So I'll go to Modify, convert to symbol. For right now, we'll just use a graphic symbol. We'll call it rubber ducky. And over a period of 20 frames or 1 second, I'll have it fade in. So what I'll do is make a copy of this keyframe because this is what I want it to look like at the end. Correct? Sometimes you work in a reverse order. I brought this in, the first frame I want it to look, I mean it really doesn't matter which direction you go, but this is how I want it to look like, what I want it to look like when I'm done. So what I can do is I can hold down the Option key and click on here, and I've copied that frame. Now, this frame, I'll go ahead and under, with the duck selected, I'll change the alpha. Okay, so it's 9–10%. And I select here, I apply my tween. Right, so it fades in over time. Okay, now you're saying you want this just to remain put here. See how that disappeared?
Right.
Not a problem. All you do is click on these 3 frames and highlight them. Because you just want them to exist in time for for that duration. Hit F5 and all that does is take that last keyframe and it duplicates the frame. So now I hit F5. See how they're still there now. So now when I hit Command Return, see how they haven't gone away, they just stay put.
So then you would build another layer, do what you want to do, then click on the things, and then it's F5.
So as long as these items
So
are
you
on,
can keep adding things that'll stay as long as you just repeat them.
if you want, exactly.
Perfect.
So if I add something else and I go further down in the timeline, and I still want all of these things to remain here, I would have to extend the frames for these to be here. As soon as I don't want them there, then you put a blank keyframe and they disappear. So, for example, let's
Kirk.
take and let's extend the duration of this.
I have a question.
40 frames for this to happen over time. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So all you did was copy from frame 40 and,
I just added frames.
added
That's
frames
all.
and then copy from frame 40 and then put it in frame 60.
Correct. So from 40 to 60, we have populated frames, but all this indicates is that it's there on stage. It's not moving, it's not doing anything, it's just there. But notice now, see how they disappear. But maybe I want one to stay and one to disappear. So maybe I want the red ball to disappear, hit frame 61, so I'll go ahead and insert timeline, blank keyframe, that one disappears, and then this one in time will remain, the square will remain, stay put. This one isn't a big deal, because you don't see the guide anyway, but I could go ahead and put a blank keyframe there too. But see how this terminates it and ends it? And I really didn't have to do that anyway, but you'll see. See how the red ball disappeared and the green square stayed? And then at the very end, if I wanted the red ball to appear again, well, what I could do is I could copy this keyframe, I could insert, let's go ahead and just take this keyframe, and I'll go to Edit, Timeline, and I'll say Copy Frame, and I can come down here at the very end, and then Edit, Timeline, Paste Frame, okay? And it will, at the very end, return again in the same place. Okay? Yeah, pop back again, the last one.
Okay, and then how did you then make everything indefinite? Meaning, you're going to put this ad on the site, and you don't want it then to quickly repeat. You've done all those little things. Now you want the whole thing to stay on solid as long as the person's on the page.
Okay. If you want it to remain just like this at the very end,
Yeah, for indefinite time.
okay. What we want to do then is we want to add just a teeny tiny bit of action script. So I will insert a brand new layer at the very top, and I will name this layer A for action, or actually type it out, action. That's your action layer. It's just a good habit to put in all of your actions at the very top. Because if I had an action on frame 1 on layer 1, and I had a conflicting action on frame 1 layer 20, it would be difficult to tell where a problem arises. But if I have all of my actions on one layer, you'll see, I have two conflicting actions on the same frame. So I will insert blank keyframe at frame 80, because you need a keyframe for actions. And then I'll go to Window, bring up the Actions panel. And how do I know this? I just do it's just gonna be on the stop. It will be left, right bracket, and semicolon, and that's it. And check the syntax, takes no errors, just a simple stop action. And you'll see the little A in the timeline, which lets you know that an action has been applied to that frame. Now when we play it, plays once, and stop.
Fabulous, good.
There you go. Right, because that does get annoying when you see things play again and again and again. And I believe that there's some new features in Dreamweaver when we get to that will allow you to control some of the flash that you bring in. That you may be able to control it and stop it or repeat it a number of times. I can't remember for certain about that.
Where did you go to bring up the action?
The window,
stroke?
it's a separate panel. You go to window
Window.
and bring up actions. It's a Command F9.
Okay.
Oh, it's not. Control F9. No, it's not. Shift F9. No. No way. Well, I think because of the key commands are a little goofy on this, it's easiest just to go to window and select actions. Yeah.
When you opened a new file, how did you bring up your old library?
Just go to library and see it shows all of the open files.
But they have to be open to use that library.
Yeah, but you can export libraries too. I can click on this little flyout window right here. And I can take, where is it? Let me pull out the library here for a minute. I should be able to save the library. New symbol folder. New folder, duplicate the properties. Where is it? Shared library properties. Maybe I would have to, let me try to do this, because I can open libraries from here. I don't know why that is. What am I missing? Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
And once you open the old library in your new file, that becomes a part of your new file
Yeah,
library?
it becomes part of that, exactly. Everybody hear that? That once you integrate an item from a library from another file into your new file, it's now part of that library as well. Wait a minute. I know where I have to do it. And this is clunky, and they may have changed this in, if I go file, let's say import. It says open external library. That's where I have to go. So I would have to, let me see here. If I go to desktop. Why can't I export? I would have to, that doesn't make sense, but maybe I would have to open another, there we go. That happened to have an empty library, but you just have, if you knew what flash, this is awkward. If you know what flash file it's located in, you just, all you're doing is opening the library from that document. And then as soon as you integrate an element from that library into your own, it makes it part of it and you can close the library. And I think that's changed in the CS4. Don't hold me to that. Does that make sense? That's where I was thinking. You go file, open external library, you have to know what Flash file it was that you used. You know, select it. Looping Flash. I probably, if I did that, maybe for movie final. I don't know. There must be something I have in here somewhere. My slideshow, onion skin. If I do the slideshow, that probably have a library. Yeah, see, here are all the assets in that particular library. So anything I had used in that library would be accessible to me.
So you just drag it from that library onto the stage?
You drag it on stage. And I would go ahead and drag it on stage, and as soon as I dragged it on stage, then over here, switch to this item. Now, it should be, wait a minute. Yeah, actually, see, as soon as I brought it on the stage, it's in here. Just remember that if you decide later on, or you read it from your library, it's gone everywhere you've ever used it. Does that make sense?
Say that again?
If I delete this from my library, anything from my library, it's permanently gone from my project. So if you decide, you know, I don't need this anymore, be sure of that, because once it's gone from the library, it's gone wherever you've used it.
But it only, and it only brought that one item right into your library?
Say again?
When you put that on the stage, it only brought that one item into your
Correct.
new library?
It only brought that one item. Okay, one more topic, and then the rest of the time we'll use to work on your project. Masks. And again, you can use any element you want as a mask. And what that does is it covers parts of the stage up, and it allows other parts to be revealed. Whatever the shape of that you choose to use as a mask, it's kind of a misnomer. It doesn't mask. That's the window that allows you to reveal. So, let me create a brand new file. And they can be animated. And they can be put into movie clips. So, actually, let's go back to the last one. And I'm going to bring out, is this one? Let's bring out the rubber ducky. And I'm going to lock this layer. And I've decided that I want some text on top of this. And with the text on top of this, I want, you know the James Bond effect where kind of, oh, you'll see, it goes back and forth, yeah. You know, that with a little, it's like you're looking through a little spyglass. So that's what we're going to do. And that's going to be our mask, the part that's animated, moves. So once again, on top of this, I'm going to add some text. And let's put right in the middle here. I want this to be centered, full, and green and black. Okie doke. Now, I'm going to put a little ball on top of this. I'm going to lock this layer. I'm going to create a new layer on top of this. And I'm going to choose to make the ball just a different color because the masks, when they're done, you really don't see anything. And I really don't need this edge here. It's the shape I'm concerned with. Now this doesn't look like much of a mask, does it? But what what I'm going to do is turn this shape into a mask. It's going to be a hole, a window that will allow me to see through, and everything else will be covered. You won't be able to see anything. So to do that, you either right click, it's probably best if I instead double click here, and you'll know on the little icon on layer 3, I'm going to name it mask to remind myself what this is. So I'm going to double click on it, and you'll notice that it says, it asks me that I can turn this into a mask. I click OK, but it doesn't mask anything, does it? If I play this, exporting the movie, doesn't do anything. So that's because it's not masking anything. Just as we had the guide layer and the elements underneath it guided, if I right click on here, I can say I want this to be masked. So let me just double click on it. See how it says mask and masked? So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and it leaves the rubber ducky alone. Now when I play this, when I see how it's allowing just that part to be revealed. So let's go ahead and animate this now. So here's our mask, and I'm going to go from frame 1 to 20, and I'll insert timeline, keyframe, and I'm going to apply tween. What kind of tween do I apply? Shape, because it's a shape object. So I converted it to a symbol that would be a so I'm going to go ahead and move it down. Oops, I didn't want to do that. Select here. I'll move it down to here. So it goes across. But see, this is a similar kind of issue. I want these to be here too. So I need to insert frame here, F5, so that they're there for the duration of the mask. So now we hit Command Return. See how it's being revealed?
Yeah.
Now what if you want to go back and forth? We reverse frames. We copy the frames and then we reverse them. So I select all of these frames. I click and I drag, and then as I drag I hold down the Option key. That copies those frames, and I go to Modify, Timeline, Reverse Frames. But remember, I've extended the length of this timeline. I need all of these to be there as well. So I just click and drag here, make sure that these 2 frames are selected, and they hit F5 again, and all it does is extend the life of those frames. So now I hit Command Return. Now, goes back and forth. Now, if I want the duck to be masked as well, simply double click on the icon, and we're asked, do you want it to be masked, or do you want it to become a mask? It could be a mask too, in the shape of a duck. It can be any shape you want. I want it to be masked, and I click OK. And the only way that you can see or preview a mask to see what its effect will be is to make sure that all layers are locked, including the mask. When you do that, you see at that point in time that it's going to look like. As soon as you unlock one of the layers, the preview of the mask goes away. As soon as you test the movie, it automatically locks the layers, I suppose, but it allows you to reveal the way the mask works. So, if you use your imagination, these masks can be very effective.
Can you put a feather, like a soft edge to the mask?
You can, yes. Let me think. using Photoshop, so I'd probably make my shape in Photoshop with a soft edge. And there's a new feature in CS4 which is really cool that allows you to soften edges on the fly with your shapes. That's perfect. Save that as a 24-bit pane with the soft edges. Bring that in, convert it to a symbol, turn it into a mask, and you have a soft edge. Did everybody follow that? She wanted to know how to make a soft edge. I think the easiest way to do that would be to use Photoshop. Try to make one real quick. It's easier now in CS4.
So if you brought it in, you would convert it to symbol rather than the other one with the ball, you just kept it as a shape.
Yeah, it's fine just to leave it as a shape. I don't, it's good practice to use symbols, so.
You wouldn't have to though. What would be the advantage of converting it to a symbol?
It will clean up your timeline. That's one of the things. Let me go ahead and I'm going to make a selection, so, and I'm going to feather it, say 50 pixels, which is quite a bit. And now I'm going to use the fill bucket, which is hidden under here. Fill it with black. Oops, let me try this again. There we go. Okay. Make my selection. There we go. Now use the fill bucket. See how nice soft edge? Probably too soft, but you get the idea. Probably should have filled it with a different color. That's okay. And now I'll save it. So the file. I'm just going to go direct to save for web and devices. And I want not to be a JPEG, not to be a PNG 8, a PNG 24. And I need to fix something here. I need to make sure that that's a transparent layer. And I need to get rid of the background too. I should have done that from the very beginning. I goofed. Never mind. Select all. Delete. Let's try this again. Here's my selection. So. Let's go ahead and fill it. I'm going to fill it with green, just so that it keeps it different.
It could be any color.
It can be any color. It's a good practice to use a color that you're not using. It's not a color that's dominant in your Flash file, just to separate it so you can see, oh, that's my mask. That's all. So there's my soft edge. File, save for web and devices. Make sure that it is a PNG 24. See, with the transparency, keeps it nice and transparent. Save. We'll just call it transparent mask. So. And Photoshop, let me see, let's come back here. And let's import the stage. And I need to be careful here. I'm gonna create a brand new layer and put it up here. So, you turn this one off. File, go ahead and import the stage. And go to desktop. I call it transparent mask. Should be down here. Big file, but wasn't planning very carefully. This should be much smaller. Like that. And zoom out a little bit. All right. So I'm going to turn this into a mask in a minute. What I should probably do though is I should probably convert this to a symbol. So modify, convert the symbol, be safe. Just be on the safe side. And now on this layer, I'm going to take this mask and just make it a normal layer. This one I'm going to turn into a mask. And I'm going to make sure that these two layers are in fact masks. Let's move this one down. No. Mask. Mask. And then once again, I'll have to animate this. So I'll go from 10 to 20, insert timeline, keyframe, move it down. What kind of tween do I apply? Motion. And take these frames, copy them, and modify, timeline, reverse frames. Let's lock it all. Ooh. It brought in the whole square. Oh, Kirk. Oh, no. Okay. What did I do? Okay, let's go back and deal with this again. Let's unlock this, select this guy here. I'm going to go inside the mask. How about I go modify, select break apart, select outer edge. I have to think about it, because this isn't working. It brought in the whole rectangle, and even though it views it as a transparency, it sees this as a rectangle, not as a circle.
Right.
I gotta think of a workaround, and I'm sure it's doable. And I know that you can feather edges in Flash with shapes. There are filters and stuff that enable you to do that. They're kind of clunky, but for lack of a better word, get nice, clean, soft edges. Let me think about that. I'll turn off the video. You guys work, and let me see if I can't come up with a solution.